Brayden Burries continues to ball out at the McDonald's game, and possibly some good transfer news for Arizona.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you today by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets with their first $5 bet hits. Check it out, FanDuel. All right, we are going to talk Brayden Burries on this show. We are going to talk the McDonald's game. We are going to talk about Henri Veesaar. We are going to talk about the Big 12. We are going to talk about a smorgasbord of different things. But first, we need to talk about Brayden Burries, my friend. Brayden Burries is going to be really, really good. Now listen, a lot of people are saying, Mike, when's he going to commit? Well, this basically came down to two things, and I think this is fair to say. Brayden Burries' agent wanted him to commit to during the McDonald's All-American game. And you know what? He also, the other option was committing during brain fart, committing with his buddies. That's what he's going to do. I would imagine then that somehow happens here in the next week or so. Now, if you watch Burries, the thing that you immediately notice about Burries is how polished he is. He's incredibly polished. He is a good player. He's a guy that you watch a lot of different things and you're like, man, he is you watch him and you're like, all right, that's just kind of a next level type player for it. He's the guy that you're like, all right, he can score from a variety of different ways. Not only can he score from a variety of different ways, he can also set his teammates up. He's a good passer. He's got a little bit of a pep to his step and how he plays. And he's, like I said, he is just a good basketball player. He's exactly what Arizona needs to have. He is you look at it and who's somebody that can replace Caleb Love, that would be him. He's like I said, he's just a really good player. He is a guy that the coaching staff has been targeting from day one, and you can honestly see why, because there's a lot to really, really like about his game and how he fits in. Just a good basketball player. Like I said, I would expect him to be an Arizona Wildcat here at some point here in the next 7 days. And when that happens, if that happens, you got to give Tommy Lloyd a lot of credit, because Tommy Lloyd doesn't offer a lot of kids. Tommy Lloyd is the kind of coach that he's going to be very circumspect in who he offers. He's going to take his time, but again, he has also shown that he generally knows what he is doing when it comes to offering players. Tommy Lloyd is the man. We very much like Tommy Lloyd, and that coaching staff, like I said, has done a really, really good job. If you're only going to prioritize a few kids, you got to be able to get them. And right now, you're looking at a recruiting lineup where you could possibly have a Brayden Burries, you could possibly have a Koa Pete, a Dwayne Aristod, a Bryce James, and who knows, you bring in a couple other players as well. But anybody that watched Brayden Burries, you could tell immediately just how good he is. He's a really good basketball player that you could win a lot of games with. Probably a one and done. Now, one thing I will say about it, and I don't really care what anybody else says, he's not a point guard, and that is fine. I have he's going to probably play point guard here. I would assume that Jaden Bradley will be obviously a point guard here as well, but it's going to be a 2-point guard approach, and I'm fine with that. The thing with Burries is that he's a little bit bigger. He's legitimately 6'5", 6'6", and he is like I said, he can get into the lane, he can shoot. He has a really good understanding for the game, and like we've talked about, Tommy Lloyd looked at these players, and I'll just put it out like this. Elijah Arenas is a very, very talented basketball player. I think he's a more talented natural fit than Brayden Burries. But Tommy Lloyd also decided that he wanted to be able to have Brayden Burries over Elijah Arenas because he is just a more traditional fit into what Arizona wants to do. And I get that. I really do. I watch him and you watch him and you're kind of like, all right, I get why you're saying that. I get it. And it makes a lot of sense. So we will we'll see how it does play out. But I got to give Tommy a lot of credit. Now, Koa Pete didn't play, but that's another one too. We got to talk about here for a second. Then we're going to get to Henri Veesaar. Koa Pete didn't play, but Koa Pete again. He is a people that think he's just going to be this kind of rim runner. They don't really get what Koa Pete is going to be bringing to the University of Arizona next year. He is going to be he's going to be facing up for the basket. He's going to be dunking. He's going to be doing a lot of different things. And if somebody double teams him, he's going to be able to hit the open man. He's got a next level feel for the game, and I think a lot of times people don't quite get that. When you watch him, he's also kind of a guy that you just kind of see. You're like, all right, what is that next level? So what is that? Okay. There we go. So we'll find out. I do think that we're kind of at the stage too where you're like, okay, where's the Dwayne Aristod? What does he provide for the University of Arizona? I love Dwayne Aristod. The problem with Dwayne Aristod is that Dwayne Aristod has been hurt. He hasn't been able to play, but he's 6'8", 230 pounds. That was a massive get. Another one from Jack Murphy. You got to give him a lot of credit. Jack Murphy gets the international kids, and he does a very good job of it. But that is assuming you get Brayden Burries, that is an awesome 3-man recruiting class. That's a top 25 recruiting class. And a recruiting class where, like I said, 2 of them are probably one and dones. The other one's probably a 2 and done, assuming he stays healthy. But either way, Arizona would be in very, very good shape there. So again, tip of the cap. And the other thing too, when you watch a lot of these kids in the McDonald's game, you kind of see them and you're like, all right, well, you don't really play basketball the right way, or whatever the case may be. And I like Elijah Arenas a great deal, but at the same time, Elijah Arenas is also, Elijah Arenas wants to get his. Brayden Burries plays far more within the team concept, and that's something that I think that you want if you're an Arizona fan. You want somebody who is going to play more in that team concept, and he has shown that he can do just that. Also, you need a scorer. That's why all these guys fit in perfectly. Brayden Burries fits in perfectly. Koa Pete fits in perfectly. Dwayne Aristod fits in perfectly with what you want to do. And like I said, Bryce James as well. Bryce James is a really, really good basketball player. And it's going to take him a few times, but not only is it going to take him a little bit of time, but I think he's going to be really, really good when he gets to that point. And I think we're kind of at the point now too, where that this coaching staff is going to, they've been very upfront with him. And not only have they been very upfront with him, they also know that it's going to be a good situation. Now, there's some interesting stuff here when it comes to the U of A and when it comes to what's going on with Henri Veesaar, because I think that's an interesting question that a lot of Arizona fans have, is what is exactly going on with Henri Veesaar? Because like I said, there's a couple question marks here, and I don't know that everybody is necessarily quite getting that. So we're going to talk about that. But first, Supply House, my friend, Supply House. All right, here's the great deal with Supply House. All right, now you look at it too, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, what I need to get a bunch of different stuff. Get the supplies you need from the site for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House has you covered. It's a reliable way to order your products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts, and again, over 400 brands. You'll find exactly what you need. Need help with your order? Supply House offers expert support. Now, join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electronical supplies with just a few clicks. That simple, that easy. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Like I said, a lot of people are getting in on it. Not only a lot of people getting in on it, you can understand too that you can understand why they are getting in on it, because it works. Check it out. Supply House. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, we need to talk a little bit about the portal. So Conrad Martinez is moving on. Now, I wish Conrad Martinez nothing but the best. Conrad Martinez, though, is also, and again, when he played in limited minutes this year for the Wildcats, he was pretty darn good. I cannot sit here and say anything to the opposite. My problem, though, with Conrad Martinez is that Tommy Lloyd clearly didn't view him as a player that could ever play significant minutes at the U of A. And that's really what I don't want to have happen. I don't want charity scholarships here. I don't want a player that you bring in and you're like, okay, well, yeah, we can, hopefully we can steal a few minutes with you here. Hopefully we can steal a few minutes with you there. I don't want any of that. I want a guy that can come in and can actually, that you can say, all right, we could see you being a player down the road. And let's be honest, as much as we like Conrad was never going to play a ton of minutes here at the U of A. He just wasn't good enough. That was a charity scholarship. Like I said, Philly B was also kind of a charity scholarship as well. So it is what it is. But he is moving on. Wish him nothing but the best. Emmanuel Steven is moving on as well. I like Emmanuel Steven. I like E-Man a great deal. E-Man can run the court. E-Man can do a lot of different things. I think the thing with E-Man is you're kind of like, what is that? What are you really looking for? But E-Man can play to a certain degree. Obviously that Conrad can't play. But that leads me to the next move. Henri Veesaar. Is there a chance that Henri Veesaar could come back for the U of A? Because again, he went to North Carolina and he has not committed yet. That would be absolutely fantastic if Arizona could somehow get Henri back. I love Henri back. He is a Henri is, again, he's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think a lot of people are making him out like he is that, but Henri is a very good basketball player, and Henri is perfect for what Tommy Lloyd wants to do, and Henri is perfect for what this coaching staff wants to do, and that he can run the court, he can block shots, he can shoot threes, and he just kind of fits in well. He's also, when he gets the ball, he also tries to dunk around the basket. And that's something too that I think is kind of a lost cause in this day and age. You get a lot of guys that just are not looking to really dunk the ball. And that annoys me a great deal because I don't understand why they wouldn't do that. He does that and he gets that. Now, I don't know exactly what happened with North Carolina. I don't know exactly happened with, and all of this, but I do know for a fact that Henri is like I said, Henri is a really good fit for what the Wildcats want to do. You'd love to get him back because, like I said, I'm more bullish, to be honest with you. I'm more bullish on Krivas than some others are, mainly because Tommy's bullish on him. And if Tommy's bullish on him, then I'm going to be bullish on him because Tommy has shown that he knows what he is doing when it comes to, scouting and recruiting big men. But we also need to be honest here for a second and be that, Krivas is also a much more of a plotter, much more of a glacier, whereas with Henry's more of a gazelle. And I think that works better. Now, I do think that if Henri were to leave, the thing that I would very much hope is that you would have Mo Krivas and Awaka. But again, I don't know. That's definitely a below the rim lineup. That's not something that you are going to that's not going to be something that you're necessarily going to see. So that's something that you have got to keep in mind. But like I said, I like it. I would love to see Henri come back, and quite frankly, I think it makes a lot of sense for Henri to come back. Hubert Davis is a crappy coach. I don't know what else to say. He's not a good coach. He's probably not going to be there very long. And if you go on these North Carolina boards, I think they kind of have an outsized expectation of what Henri would provide. Henri is going to be a 12-7 type guy with a couple blocks. He is not going to be 19-8. He's not going to be, he's not going to be Hubert Davis. He's not going to be, Tyler Hansborough or somebody like that coming in there and just dominating. That's not his game. He's entirely different. And I don't know why you would leave Tommy Lloyd. That's the other thing. Tommy Lloyd showed a lot of faith in Henri Veesaar, and I think that's something that you gotta look at, and I think that you gotta really take into account is that he has done a really, really good job with that, and I'm excited to see exactly what he can do. I'm excited because I don't know exactly where he is, but we will find out. I think it's something where you're like, all right, well, I guess we're going to find out. But I love Henri Veesaar. I would love to get Henri Veesaar back. And I think there's a real chance that they can get Henri Veesaar back. Now, watch. By the time we have the show tomorrow, he could be committed to North Carolina, and it is what it is. But that's also the way that it is with the transfer portal. But it's not done yet, and I know behind the scenes, some people thought that they would be able to get Henri back. So we will see about how that does work. But I do like it so far where they're able to be with Henri. Some other guys will obviously move on. Now, another guy, no news is good news. Jaden Bradley. You obviously want Jaden Bradley back if you're the University of Arizona because Jaden Bradley is good. You want to have somebody like Jaden Bradley. You can win a lot of basketball games with somebody like Jaden Bradley. And I'm not really breaking any news, but it's quite simple why. He's a low maintenance player that plays great defense, and offensively he's a better player than a lot of people think he is. And not only is he a better player than people think he is, I think if he comes back, he can be a better shooter. The one thing about him is I think that he's got a lot of untapped potential when it comes to shooting the basketball. And that's where I think that you're hoping that he can be if you're the University of Arizona is what can he provide? He can provide that, and he's a winning basketball player. That is the other thing that you need to keep in mind. He is a winning basketball player, and you need guys like that out there. When you watch him, you know exactly what you're going to get, and that is a good thing. So, like I said, when it comes to Jaden Bradley, no news is good news because, like I said, I think a lot of teams would love to poach Jaden Bradley, but so far you haven't really heard any rumblings. And if he comes back to the U of A, like I think he will, he is a big part of that. I mean, you look at it, and if you've got a starting listen, I mean, Carter Bryant, who knows what he's going to do? But if you've got if you got four players like Henri Veesaar, Koa Pete, Jaden Bradley, and Brayden Burries, that's a really, really darn good start. And if you add Carter Bryant to that, I think that's the best lineup in the country. He is an interesting player for the U of A. So we will find out. I don't know exactly how this is going to play out, but we are also kind of at the point too where you would like to be able to have all of these. You would like to be able to have all of these things back. So we will find out how this does play out. I don't know exactly how it is, but it's going to be interesting to see how this does go. Now, I do think that we are kind of at the stage now where you're like, all right, what is that next guy? And some of the reporting that kind of is a little bit sketch, as the kids would say. And then we need to talk a little bit about the Big 12 as well. But first, Monarch Money, my friends. Monarch Money. Okie dokie. All right, Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Here's the deal. Ever check your bank account and wonder and say to yourself, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money it's not just a budgeting app. That's the other thing. It's a complete financial command center. That's a big part of all of this. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you can just stop managing your money and start building wealth. That's what you want to do. And again, you can do a lot of different stuff here. You got surprising insights, all in one convenience, and easy collaboration. You're not going to have to talk with somebody from like the Philippines or something or some robot. So again, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Again, really, really good stuff at Monarch Money. Again, use code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, let's talk a little bit about some of the reporting that's going on here. Here's what you got to remember about this. Anytime somebody puts something out there, like Jason Shear put out that Georgetown is a heavy player for KJ Lewis, and then KJ Lewis's family's like, that's not true or whatever. Every family is going to say that because they're looking to leverage. That doesn't mean that what the person reported isn't true. And generally that comes out to be the case. So if you see somebody and they're like, well, so-and-so's family said that's not the case. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's true. So we will find out with that one though. But like I said, generally reporting, everybody's going to say that that's not what's going on. That's not the case. That doesn't mean that they're being honest about that, or that doesn't mean that they're not leveraging. Whatever the case may be, there's a lot that goes into all of this. As you know, you guys are all very smart, as you know. Now, the Big 12 next year is going to be absolutely loaded. Arizona has the potential to be a top 5 team next year. And I honestly believe that if Arizona was able to return who they could possibly return, from Henri Veesaar to Carter Bryant, to Jaden Bradley, along with Brayden Burries and Koa Pete, I believe that's the preseason #1 team in the country. That team is absolutely loaded. But again, it's not just Arizona, my friends. You look at a team like Houston. Houston's going to be loaded as well. You look at Sanak or whatever his name is, top 5, top 10 big man. He's going to be a monster. And then you got you got a 5-star point guard. You got a 5-star wing coming in. You also could possibly bring back Milos Uzon. You possibly could also bring back Emmanuel Sharp. You could also bring back Arsenault. And you've got one of the handful of best coaches in the game in Kelvin Sampson, where they don't really have these roster turnover issues. It's just overall a very good, it's a very good program. It's in very good footing. Then you got Baylor. Baylor's in an interesting spot. I like Scott Drew, but I kind of wonder if that thing has kind of reached its course because they haven't really gotten much better. You could say it's because they lost Jerome Tang. Maybe that is the case. I don't know. But overall, this is a squad. This is a team that you're like, you're bringing in some talent. You just got the kid from Wyoming. You're going to get a bunch of other kids. They got a good NIL program, but it's just not. It doesn't feel like it was a couple years ago, and I think that's something that's pretty fair to say. Kansas, I expect Kansas to bounce back in a big way. I think with the Darren Peterson, I can't remember his name. I think he's probably the best player in the country. He is a monster. He's really, really good. I would expect him to possibly be the best freshman in the country. You got Houston, obviously. Iowa State will be interesting as well. Oklahoma State's bringing in a really a good class as well. But either way, it's an awesome basketball conference, and it's something too that I think if you're Arizona, you're happy to be in, because you know that armor sharpens armor, steel sharpens steel, and this is a conference where you know that you're going to get everybody's best shot. And you're going to go against really good teams where you've got great environments as well. And BYU, I didn't even mention them. BYU is going to be a preseason top 5 team in the country. You got DeBansa, you got Richie Saunders. You're going to have a bunch of different guys. You're going to have Kada. It's a loaded team as well. All right, now tomorrow, as you know, we're going to be talking more about this. Everything is fluid in this nature, though. Everything, there's a lot that's going on, and it's always going to be interesting here. And this is the place that you want to be. Locked On Wildcats, thanks for making this your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day. But we'll be back with you tomorrow. But as always, like I said, never a better time to be a University of Arizona Wildcat fan. We will talk with you tomorrow.